So today is Tuesday, and like I indicated to you yesterday, we are live on your #1 station, Pan-African Television. Today is no exception. We are going to be addressing the most important matters making headlines on the front pages of our various newspapers here in Ghana. And precisely so, we are going to also be touching on an African story, which African story has got to do with our own internal security. Because the Interior Minister has been talking and he's been indicating to us that it's imperative that now more than ever, we should be very focused on our security matters. I also am very much sure that you are aware that the President was granted an interview when he went to the UK. And in that interview, there was an admission emanating from the quarters of the presenter, indicative of what he describes as the terrible nature of the Ghanaian economy. Also, you know that the tidal wave has struck again and has affected so many people in the Volta region. We'll be touching on that story as well. And definitely we're going to be dwelling on E-Levy as well, because it appears that E-Levy is not going anywhere. We're going to be touching on all those stories here and more. I'm excited to have in the studios with me His Excellency, the man that we all adore, the man that we respect, the man that we revere, Sam P. Yali. Good morning, sir. I trust you are well. Fantastic. Our very own Solomon Owusu is also here seated, somebody who had to travel to Kumasi but found his way here on the morning show. I'm excited because he respects the show and he's committed himself to ensuring that it communicates from the side of government so that there is that level of shared opinion, really, on the morning show. Thank you.
Thank you, my brother.
Honoring our invitation.
Thank you, my brother. Privilege. Yes, that's why I'm Owusu. Where you are Owusu. We have to always be serious with our work. And thank you to co-panel.
Yes. And the man himself, Dr. Marzouk, is also here seated. He was very, very busy last week. This week, we told him whether you are busy or not, you have to listen to your English. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, sir.
I believe you are well.
Alhamdulillah.
Happy with your panelists?
Very happy.
Precisely so.
And ready to learn from them.
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely. Right. So let's deal with the Interior Minister's secession. That it does appear that Ghana is facing some security threats. And therefore it is important that we put all our arsenals together, do all the intelligence work so that we can curb all these insurgencies happening across the West African sub-region before it gets to the country. That's what I was doing. How do you nod your head like Dr. Baumia? So Dr. Baumia, let's listen to you on this.
My elder brother.
Yeah. I like the way he nods his head. Even when they are not talking, saying anything factual, he says. So look.
that tells you that he's a listening leader. All right. Good morning to the cherished viewers of ours. Special good morning to the Warmachim of Yan, now of you, now of Myanglana. Good morning to co-panelists. Well, it is important for all of us to be conscious of security, because I see security as the soul of governance. Without security, nothing can move on and nothing can progress. So it is important for all of us to be conscious of that. It is true. It is not for the Interior Minister to tell us. Those of us who are already monitoring the security situation in this country do understand in a humble way that the country is facing a multiplicity of security challenges. But we cannot talk about solutions without getting to the genesis. In other words, without examining the factors. But mostly, people think that religion is only the only source of insecurity or terrorism in the world. That is a simplistic, flawed position. Very simplistic, very flawed. In our situation, we can look at a number of factors. One, politics and governance is a factor of insecurity. When I say politics and governance, I'm treating the two nouns as one area and therefore in their singular form. Politics and governance is a factor of insecurity. Employment or unemployment, if you want to sound negative. Employment positive, unemployment negative can also be a source of insecurity. Religion is one. International disorder is one. And lack of vigilance on the part of the citizenry is another. Let's come to politics and governance. In our situation, we have been bombarded with a negative political culture in which some political parties, or almost all the political parties, have formulated what I call glorified violence in the name of vigilantes or vigilantism. And this glorified violence can lead to a kind of insecurity. Mostly some of these political parties will raise the vigilantes, the glorified violent guys, after the elections. Not all of them will have the qualification to be given the needed employment. And therefore, of course, as humans as they are, some of them are more likely to be frustrated. The frustration may lead them to either armed robbery, radicalization, extremism, and even terrorism. And when you come to unemployment, you don't need any scientific hypothesis. You don't need any scientific data. You don't need any hypothesis. In academic research, we do say that when the phenomenon is so obvious, you don't need any hypothesis. In other words, you don't need any hypothesis to say that if you drink poison, you will die. So it is the same thing. You come to unemployment and you will understand that it is a major source of insecurity in this country. And you know why it continues to be a major source of insecurity? In our situation, you have stuck unemployment that produces a community of poverty and misery. Then you have another group, the elitist one, those with impunity, those with political power, those with economic might, and they constitute a community of jollity and jacandity. So if you have the two contrasting communities, those living in jollity and jacandity, and those living in misery and poverty, definitely that friction alone constitutes a source of armed robbery, a source of violence, a source of extremism. Then we come to religion. Religion is a tool of social order. However, the way some people practice and even preach religion leads to instances of violence. I want to believe that all the Abrahamic religions, majority of which are Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, these Abrahamic religions do not preach violence. But then, the way these religions are handled by some will open the gateway for indoctrination, for terrorism, for extremism, for all kinds of violence. And then you come to a lack of consciousness on the Ghanaian. Most Ghanaians, sorry, let me say some Ghanaians, because I don't have the statistics. Some Ghanaians think that security is an exclusive responsibility of the government. That is not the case. Security is a shared responsibility. It is a shared responsibility because the security managers depend on the intelligence emanating from the community to analyze and to guide the security of this country. If the people themselves are not cooperative, definitely the managers of national security and intelligence may not get adequate data to be proactive to any kind of eventuality. But that particular one, lack of cooperation from the public, is also dictated by another factor that I didn't mention. Flawed criminal justice system. If you have a flawed criminal justice system that is mostly or largely transactional, definitely people do not trust the system. People do not have confidence in those responsible for management of national security and intelligence. In a situation where you will even go and give them any piece of information that will constitute critical intelligence, they will expose you. If we witness such things, definitely the cooperation will not be forthcoming. And that is why there is the need for all of us to examine the factors. And then we can try as much as possible to help the government. Let me say that we can look at it from two angles, and experts will tell you. We have those that are responsible for intelligence gathering, and that is very proactive. And those who are also responsible for security application, that is more or less reactive. Those responsible for the intelligence gathering will get the information and then pass it on to those who are supposed to process the information and put whatever information they have to an actionable project that will project the security of the state. And we should also understand that the happenings in the global scene, happenings on the global scene, can also change the security architecture of the world. And once the security architecture of the world changes, it affects almost all countries in the world, because we are living in an era of globalization. For instance, the war in Ukraine will definitely, or has even already changed the security architecture of Europe. Because for about 70 years, Europe didn't manage any conflict of this kind. Europe could not see, Europe did not even dream that it would one day manage its own refugees on its own soil. Today, things have changed. And you will even agree with me that refugee laws in the European zone are being changed. They are being modified to still keep to the so-called European civilization. And therefore, and I commend them for that, it is their responsibility to ensure that Europeans do not suffer. I don't see anything wrong with that. But I will only appeal to them that the kind of treatment they've given to their own refugees in the interest of humanity should be extended to any refugee from a non-European zone. But so when we analyze all these things, then we come down. Definitely, we should not be deceived into thinking that whatever is happening outside this country will not affect us in terms of security, because we are surrounded by countries. And if we have Boko Haram insurgency in Nigeria, or Al-Qaeda and ISIS nonsense in Mali and Burkina Faso, definitely we should be more proactive. I do not want to downgrade the competence of national security, but I want to appeal to the National Security Minister and his staff to be more proactive. Because when you look at what the counter-terrorism, the counter-terrorism union, in fact, I have spoken to experts, and they are of the view that to counter is to be reactive, which is not the best. But to be anti is to be proactive. So I strongly believe that it should rather be anti-terrorism unit instead of counter-terrorism terrorism, because when you counter, of course, the word is so, unless of course they are
the word
not.
is counterproductive.
Yes, sure. You wait for violence to happen before you counter. No, you rather should be anti. And therefore, if you are anti, then whatever you do in terms of policies, in terms of implementation, will remain within the context of proactiveness. And that is even less costly. But if you wait to be counter, then you'll be managing two things. One, to quash the violence, to make sure that the violence is solved, and two, to ensure that it doesn't happen again. So it is good for managers of national security to be proactive rather than reactive. This is not to say that they are not doing well. We are confident in them. It is our shared responsibility, and every Ghanaian should understand that without security, no soul shall prosper.
What I find rather nerve-wracking, I'm still staying with you, has got to do with some of the examples given. And I like the angle from where you looked at the issue. Now, clearly, I don't know whether or not our definition of what terrorism is goes beyond what can happen internally, and that, you know, the presumption is that we should have attacks from external forces, sort of, so to speak. So the conversation, when you mention terrorism, immediately transfers to Boko Haram, all those other people. But internally, and I'm happy that he made mention of it, but did not focus on the importance, really, or did not attach any level of importance to the mentioning of other factors which may also lead to terrorism. And I, with respect, I would like to read this, because I want to state that Ghana is relatively stable.
Sure.
Deep several threats, both external and internal, that can undermine security and stability. Quote, these threats have been prominent by crime, land, and chieftaincy disputes, piracy, and activity of secessionists. He said, adding that several measures have been introduced to deal with the threats. So my point is that it is as though we just made the conversation about the internal factors wishy-washy. It's just, fleeting, you know, without focusing on that, because that really is the genesis or the derivatives of any sort of terrorist attack.
And let me tell you something.
And what is happening, you remember Elembele?
Yes.
What happened in Elembele?
Yes.
The youth clashing with the military, for instance.
Yes.
And several other issues which have happened in the northern part of this country.
Yes.
The secessionist movement, it's a big deal. Sure. It's as though we are not focusing on that, but that's a big deal.
Yes.
And we don't know the activities as we speak now.
Yeah.
Government has not updated the people of Ghana that, oh, you know, we've managed to stop them from training and from camping and all of those other matters. So what is our policy in terms of dealing with these matters internally? How do we internalize the terrorism conversation that we're having?
We need, first of all, we need to be honest. It's honesty. But let me also say that, of course, I just want to react to your statement that we have not been told what is. In fact, in security and intelligence management, it's not everything that is.
No, you can't give the details.
Yes,
I know.
yes.
But at least when the activities started,
yes,
we were being informed about, you know, this person has been arrested, this person has been done,
Yes.
But now it appears we are just, you know, left, because at least we need to be updated.
I strongly believe, I don't know what others will say, but I strongly believe it's lack of honesty. It is the dishonesty. I want you to reread with all you.
No, let me.
The factors. The factors mentioned by the National Security Ministry. And I want to tell you something. Yes.
These threats have been prominent by crime, land and chieftaincy disputes, piracy, and activity of secessionists.
Yes. Okay. So, you know, crimes. What kind of crimes? He didn't mention. And you know, you and I know that crime is very generic.
Absolutely.
Very abstract. If you reduce it to semantics, it's very abstract. Then piracy and chieftaincy. Look, if there is dishonesty, the minister will let us know the kind of crimes he's talking about. And then piracy and chieftaincy dispute. My brother, you and I know that because of our secular governance structure, there's no chieftaincy conflict in this country that is not politically colored. Every chieftaincy in this country is either politically motivated or politically colored. So all those factors he has mentioned find expressions in one of the grand thematic areas that he should have been honest enough to tell us. The piracy can also be traceable to the unemployment in this country. And the lack of will to punish those involved. And that is why I mentioned criminal justice. You know, when you have a criminal justice built on the theory of transactionalism and not on the theory of equal justice, then you definitely should be prepared to manage violence of all kinds. You see? So it is honesty. And people should not be deceived into thinking that terrorism is external. No, it is internal.
Absolutely.
Yes, it's internal.
Yeah.
Vigilantism, going to court to chase a judge away with impunity, is what I will call state-sponsored terrorism. Going to court. And we have witnessed that in the two dispensations of the two major political parties. People thought that it was the Kumasi issue. No. Go back to Tamale. In the regime of John Atta Mills, either the second J. Rawlings regime or Atta Mills, Yahuza and Co., they were freed by a court of competent jurisdiction. And these guys came, attacked the court. The judge had to run away. And then they were rearrested. And they spent almost the time for the entire regime until they were released.
At least they were arrested.
They were arrested.
Rearrested, yeah.
They were rearrested.
Yeah.
You understand that? It happened. In Kumasi, we saw it. What happened to the vigilantes who disturbed peace in this constituency, right?
Yeah,
Ayawasu. What happens to them?
They're still at post.
What happens to them? The killings during the elections. What happens to those who killed? The bloodshed, naked bloodshed.
Yeah. The regional secretary.
In the name of defense of political parties.
The regional secretary in Kumasi who was manhandled.
What happened?
Nanka Bruce.
What happened? So when the state authority is used to glorify violence, then it breeds a gang of monsters who will eventually disturb the peace in this country. And if they are accessible to sophisticated guns, they can outsmart Boko Haram agents.
Yeah.
And therefore, we should not think that everything is well. Yes, we are doing better. We are doing better relatively. But every war-torn country was once a peaceful country. That's what we should understand. History tells us that every war-torn country was once a peaceful country. Whoever dreamt that there would be a kind of war
between Ukraine
and Russia. Right? So sometimes, and whoever even dreamt that we will witness genocidal killings in Rwanda and Burundi. If you study their history, they were both once peaceful nations. So we need to be honest to ourselves. And it is up to the wielders of political authority in trust for the state to act honestly and justly, so that at the end of the day, the citizenry will have confidence in the system, in the government, and you will agree that the security as a collective responsibility will then be meaningful.
All right. Thank you very much. Well, from the submission of Dr. Marzouk, I am taking away three things. One has got to do with the definition of this terrorism in respect of politics, political terrorism. And then we have religious terrorism. Yes. And then he also spoke about
commercial terrorism.
Commercial terrorism, sort of, economic terrorism, right? So clearly, if the National Security Minister is watching, he's giving the solution. So once you are able to identify that we have religious terrorism, economic terrorism, and political terrorism, particularly political and religious terrorism, because the political terrorism will lead to economic terrorism if policies are not done well. Let me come to Ambassador Zampiale in respect of this subject matter, because he's got to leave us at 9:30. We need to grant him some latitude to deal with these matters on the show. Respectfully.
Well, let me say good morning to your Omanyene Kusiata from Cape Coast.
Of course.
And then Nakusiajaman. They say you should come to him.
I have to
invite him.
No, but I need to go with you.
I'll go with you.
Yes, sir.
I never get tired listening to Dr. Marzouk.
Right.
Because of the factual disposition coupled with academic delivery. It makes it so interesting to listen to him.
Right.
He's made the right points about what external and internal security threats could be. Do I have anything reasonable to add? Let me just say that there are certain things that we must watch as a country.
Okay.
First, I was wondering why the National Security Coordinator briefed Parliament openly. Do you understand? But then I said, well, maybe to create awareness, because if all of us are aware of a security threat, then we must be very careful. But Dr. Marzouk has told us the threat we ourselves pose to ourselves.
Yeah, that's a real threat.
And that if there's a chain, the chain breaks at its weakest point. And therefore, if we do not further, do not facilitate, or we are not in a condition that attracts Boko Haram, they do this by just a telephone call and create local allies. But we must be very thankful to some leaders we have had in this country, like the Sheikh Sharebutu. I'm always thankful to God that in spite of the fact that we have been surrounded by religious extremism around, he has been the character that stands so tall, colossus, to control the Islamic, I don't say it's Islamic, it's what, the religious mad people who use the Quran in the wrong way. So if there's security in this country, we must be thankful to that Sheikh. He's done so well. Left to as politicians, we should have bent this country. Take my word. Left to politicians, we would have bent this country. Because we are the people who are encouraging vigilantes. The president says he has banned vigilantism, but he is still alive. Last 2 weeks, I was on my site. Some young men come on a motorbike, say that they are land guards. I said, what? Land guards? Brazenly, they took the wheelbarrows and the shovels, doing my workers, and they took it away. I went to Kasua police station. What could they do? All these things are inherent in the country. So, if we have not had goalkeepers like Sheikh, the chief imam, if we have not had gatekeepers like that, you would have known what would have happened. Trust me. Anytime we talk about security, I pray for the chief imam and some religious leaders as well.
The honest ones.
Honest ones. I have not mentioned their names because they are the people who are preaching and their bodyguards around them with guns.
Yeah.
Right? You are asking for protection for people. Meanwhile, you are surrounded by young men with guns to protect you. So that's why I didn't mention their name. All right? They themselves could be source of violence in this country. So please, let me monopolize my gratitude to Chief Imam for the peace we are enjoying in this country. That is a side of the historic national architecture of Kwame Nkrumah that brought us, all of us together as one country. Now, he mentioned, or you mentioned secessionist. For me, that is a hoax. It was a political dishonesty, like he said. How can you parade as a 90-year-old man, almost a man who's almost to death?
I think he died.
He died.
Eventually.
Put him in a helicopter, bring him to Accra, and say, these are the secessionists. And after he died, what have you done to address your problem? We are doing worse things against the voter region. Because the basis of the secessionists is that we are not taking care of them. Not so. But if that was true, then we have created a worse situation for them to succeed. For ministers saying that they will not allow government to do rules in the voter region. A whole budget is drawn without the voter region. You know, people, a company, you know, recklessly on the road sending ammunition without escort. The ammunition blast kills people. The following day, everybody is there. We are building a new township for them. The voter region is being swallowed by what? The sea. And nobody is saying anything. All we have done is that we have provided 10 million cedis for feasibility studies. That feasibility studies stop the stop. Can feasibility studies stop the sea? And what feasibility has been done since then? You know, I was in India when there was rain for a long time and there was flood in certain parts of India. And I was telling you, if you go to fire service, practical solution, there are fire tenders that have very big, powerful compressors. They can pump water. Why don't we give it to tech, if you have technology, University of Science and Technology, put it on a trailer. And anytime there is a flood, they pull this the truck with the fire tender engines. The engines are not more useful, but the compressors are working. Put them together. Overnight, you pump the water away. Hydro, take this simple common sense thing. The fire tenders are there no more in all the regions, Chief. You know that. Yeah. All the regions we have unserviceable fire tenders. Why don't you cannibalize and get the compressors, those water pumps, right? Put them on a trailer, draw them to keep a ketter. By 9 o'clock in the night, you pump. By 7 o'clock in the morning, all the water is gone. It can be done. Or we can't do that. So that's a solution. So I'm saying that as for the secessionist group, forget about them. It was a political hoax. And if it is even true, we have done worse things that should even bring the younger generation. When we saw a team of old men like me, they cannot even hold a gun. But if it's true, then we have younger people in the voter region who are crying for help. Yes. Am I lying? I mean, you wake up in the morning, 18-year-old boy, your house is flooded, and all they bring you is a bag of rice. And so when there's a call for arms by an external force, you think our people will join? We are in a country, we know that arms are not farm implements. Yes. Arms, guns, AK-47. These are usually the type of guns they are using. We order them, bring them to this country. Alaji, don't forget, getting to the last elections, arms were imported in this country and they were moved. Sure. So where are the guns? No wonder these days, these young men are so brave that a whole
brandish guns.
Yes, a whole state transport is going. They can stop it in the middle of the night, rob them with sophisticated guns. These are the internal factors that we should watch. Besides, we need to watch our personal security. Personal security. In Russia and KGB and other places, they use women. Women as spies or personal agents.
But in Rwanda, they use old men and women.
Yes, but
your next door neighbor may be a security person.
Yeah, but they are proper security. Yeah. But if another country wants to attack you or do espionage, they will plant a woman close to the national security or the president. Yesterday, I watched it from where the president's own girlfriend in Nigeria kidnapped him. Our security people are so easygoing with women. And it's something that we must watch. It is something that we must watch because it's the biggest number one. You did a lot of security in Russia. You did in Russia.
Pajamas.
Yes, I'm not talking about Nightcon or whatever, but in Russia and in America and in Germany, if you know that you like whiskey, they'll give you the best whiskey.
Yeah,
That's true.
If you know you like women, they'll give you your shape of woman. So we must also watch that. We must also watch police brutalities.
Yes.
Because these are young men who, through no fault of theirs, we said they should go to school. They have gone to school. We are to give them employment. We are not giving them employment. What we are giving them is slogans. Youth in agriculture, youth in this, youth in this. And they don't get what they want. When they say there's going to be security employment for soldiers or police, you see 3 kilometers, 4 kilometers of human line, a human being in a line. If these 3 kilometers of 18 to 24-year-old young men decide that enough is enough, what is going to happen? Chief, what are we going to do? Young student lawyers feel that they are not being handled well, so they want to demonstrate. Then we send armor cars, right? Hot water tankers on the student. On the student. Why? So these students, you don't feel secure in their own country. Kwame, would the students feel secure in their own country? I am telling you that if anybody was bold enough to organize University of Ghana and UPS alone, they can take over this country. The student. How many people can you kill? You see, so police brutality is part of our threat. Look at what happened at Elembele 2 days ago. In the presence of the court, and Kwame, you all talk about the sanctity of the court, not so.
Yeah.
So in the court presence, what is that man holding that the policeman cannot arrest him but have to kill him? And once you kill him, you know there will be reactions. Are you following what I'm saying? There will be reaction. This country, even demonstration is a threat. Student demonstration is a threat. All right? Then division, political division is also a threat. Alaji, we have a president who says and calls other people naysayers. Because they don't agree with your policy. Who says your children should even agree with your daily policies? Absolutely. Who says they must? If you are bringing a policy and some people don't agree, you call them what? Naysayers. Right from that day, you are dividing the country. Who are one? We all Ghanaians, for Christ's sake, aren't we? So, it's not that the Ghana police thinking that it's a service to the state. You know, Ghana police what? Force.
Now service.
Service. We are psychologically equipping them with violence. By the equipment we buy for them, water cannons. Now the police have Mohawks. You know, when there's a demonstration, least announcement of demonstration, the police are surrendered. There was big tenders, fire tenders. Are the police not to protect us? Are the police not to serve us? Kewodi, I think the police service must have a reorientation of and be giving psychological change. That look, the guy that you are going to slap, the guy you are cheating, is a Ghanaian who pays you.
Absolutely.
The guy you are going to beat is the guy who pays you. And then one day when you go on retirement, you are going to be a civilian. These are what the people of Ghana are facing, and which will make it easy for Boko Haram to infiltrate. Fortunately for us, we have Chief Imam who does not allow this religious extremism. And by God's own creation, our borders are our brothers and sisters. If you go to the western region, our winds and our yins of Ivory Coast are the same people. If you go to Sekwa and all, they are the same people. You go to Paga, it's only the European line that cut across. And therefore, no one would want, as long as Ghana is not ready to attack Togo, or Ghana is ready to attack Ivory Coast, they are not ready to attack us. Even when we have this oil crisis about border demarcation, see how we settled it. Peacefully. You know, but I am worried about the internal factors that can disturb our peace. Look at what is happening in Parliament. For 6 months plus, they have not been able to do any meaningful work for this country.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Only because of bad leadership. If you are a leader of a company and there's 3-4 days of crisis, what do? Do you continue it? Do you continue it? We have leaders of our parliament. They go to caucus meeting. Even when the caucus meeting has not closed, they are doing press conferences and insulting each other. Right? So, if gold rust, what would iron do? If gold rust, what would iron do? If our honorable members of parliament are at each other's throat, why wouldn't the boys we have created tents and shed and call them ghetto boys? The ghetto boys, you know them.
Yes.
If you who built the tent for us are fighting, what should we do? What should we do? Dr. Mazouk has spoken about the economy, so I don't need to go there. But just look at the situation. Doctor, let's be practical. Where a young man who has gotten up this morning does not know where his breakfast is coming from. Somebody dashes him 5 cedis. It will have been enough for cocoa in the morning and some yokogari in the afternoon. Now, what is the price of cocoa and yokogari? Kodi, stand on the Achimota, the overhead bridge. You see young men walking from Achimota to Accra.
Yeah, I want us to leave the economy for when we are discussing the Ghana's economy, the third topic.
Okay.
So, or maybe we can actually marry the two E-Levy, but I just wanted Solo to touch on.
Yeah, so that's our end here.
Yes, respectfully. And then you come here. Solo.
Yeah, Kwame, when you have a dog and ambassador speak to the issue, then what else do you have to add? Except that we need to, I'm a businessman, so I always look at it from a business angle. Okay. The truth of the matter is that insecurity is a bread and butter issue.
Absolutely.
You can add all the adjectives. It's about somebody not getting food. And then added to it is injustice. So if you look out as a country, when President Kufuor came, he realized the #1 national security threat was youth unemployment. Yeah. And that was how come you brought all these NUIP to deal with it temporarily. As a country, we need to do more. Our economy is still not structured in such a way that it will be able to absorb the teeming youth. If you look at our average age, we are relatively a young population country. And if you have majority of your youth, then it becomes a problem. Even those that are working, it's not quality employment. The kind of salaries they are receiving is nothing to write home about. Someone is living in Kaswa, is working at Kaneshi, is paid at 300 cedis a month. The transportation cost alone takes everything. On top of that is globalization. You see, as we are here, everyone wants to own the best of things. The person is in Ghana, he sees whatever happens in Europe and in America, and the very day he wants to have it. They have developed their system to be able to.
It's easier.
Very easy. You know, the person wants to buy iPhone, there is credit, he wants to buy a car, but we went into it without building our structures. And so everything here is cash, cashmatics, cash economy. And the person doesn't have it. He is in an office. He is being pressured by, say, the girlfriend or fiancé. I need an iPhone. What does it happen? The person is likely to go and steal. Community in unemployment. I employ a lot of people. They always steal. So sometimes when we are even talking about unemployment, there is a second look at it, but that is another matter altogether. If you know how Ghanaian workers, some of them are taking employers through, giving them nightmares, then you would understand. the statement is rather attributed to Kandapa, the Minister of National Security, and not the Interior Minister. So let's correct that one. I believe we are fortunate as a country because what is happening in Côte d'Ivoire, what is happening in Burkina, Guinea, and so on and so forth, we are not far off. What were the reasons that the coup makers give for their coups in Guinea and then Burkina? It's unemployment, it's high cost of living, security, and so on and so forth. What do we have here? And panel members have touched on the issues at length. Injustice in this country is the #1 bane. Go to our courts. Go there. Some of them, the kind of rulings that comes out of the court, so that they don't want us to touch it. But that is a reality. You go to court and people go out peeved. So if this is how this place works, I won't come there again. Then I will not come here again. Settle it. You understand? So what are we doing to save the situation? If we are able to be truthful to ourselves, Kwame, we will deal with this. Either than that, we will be talking all the beautiful English, but the reality of the day is that we are not safe as a country. The devil finds work for the idle hand. What are we doing? The last time there was a security recruitment, you saw the numbers. How did we get to this point? Because every day in and day out, now we know about 500,000 people are moving from GHS to secondary school. Is that not the case? Out of that, you have at least 80% going to the university. And so you have to plan for their exit. Is that not the case? Absolutely. And that should have been something that we should have done in the past to be reducing the numbers. But all is not lost as a government. You know, when we came into power, we realized that this was a problem. So we started what we call 1D, 1F. The people poo-pooed that decision, but it was to deal with this problem. That you set up industries in various areas, localities, championed by their own natives, so that the youth that migrates into the cities will be engaged there, and for that matter, they will not come. It is for all of us to encourage that policy. Put politics aside, encourage so that if first, at the end of the day, I always say that MPP is not going to be in power for the rest of our lives. But whoever will take over must take over a country that is healthy. If you take over a country that is sick, you will struggle. So let us encourage that. If you look at our 2022 budget, what was the theme? Building a sustainable entrepreneur nation, fiscal consolidation, and job creation. We recognize that without creating jobs for the youth, your security, no matter the couples in there, they can't do anything. Because when someone is full in the belly, it is very difficult for you to convince that person to take arm. The man is happy, enjoying himself. Why do you want him to fight? The person will not. And so when we are able to tackle it consistently, we will be able to deal with the issue. It is not for any reason that the national security setup itself includes ministries like the finance. So when we talk about security, it's all about the police people and the soldiers. They are a minute fraction. If people are not fighting, they don't have job. And people will only fight when there are unemployment and injustice. So deal with that. And doing that too, we would have to work on what we call the interest rate of this country. The fundamentals, we are not touching it. To be able to create jobs, Kwame, if the interest rate regime we are doing in this country is still around 24%, how many businesses will survive? How are you going to expand your business to be able to absorb more of the youth on the street, to pay them good? We have done well in that sector. When we came, it was 36%. We've been able to bring it down to 24%, but it is still not enough. Last year or so, there was a huge, there was a heavy fight between the Nigerian traders and Ghanaian traders. You know the basis? Nigeria is doing about 13% interest rate. Ghana is doing about 24%. So the Nigerians are able to access cheap credit from their country, come to tiptoe and take shops. The Ghanaian is unable to do that. So you force the Ghanaian to go onto the street, he becomes a burden onto you. It's not confusion that's going to happen. So as a government, and I've always been preaching, we are doing our best, but we need to do more to reduce the interest. It is unacceptable. We are dealing with a globalized situation. I'm competing with the Chinese. You are competing with the European who is doing 0% interest rate. Japanese, that is doing a negative interest rate. How do we compete? So many a times people start businesses in this country within a matter of a year or two, it's collapsed. It is not their fault. It is not that they don't have managerial skill. It is because the fundamentals are weak. The interest rate regime we are operating is abnormal, and that we must do more to, as it were, bring it down. When we are able to do these things, then we begin to orient the young ones. Do we have a national agenda in this country?
No.
What are the national agenda for the kids?
We don't have. We do not.
When a child, I went to my child's school, and they were playing the national anthem of Ghana, and parents were walking. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is your country. This is your anthem. It's being played, and you are walking. It means there is no love.
No. It's gone. I agree.
So we have to begin to orient our kids about love for nation.
Yeah, it's gone.
That's how you can be in this country. At the time you see, you go to Bunumbura, a place like that, a lot of foreigners are there, but you won't find a Ghanaian reporting to any authority to deal with it. And to our security, as Ambassador was saying, we have moved from brute to service. How well are we reorienting them to take it that it is no more force? It was the Brits, because of the way they wanted to lead us or rule us, that introduced the force.
It's Ghana Police Service.
You have to service.
Customer care service.
Service. And service is not about slapping. Look, a policeman stops you on the road. The way you talk to you even push you off. Master, park, as if you are an animal.
You have my heart. One time I dealt with one at Race Junction. Me, I was from Ashalubuchi, heading towards Agbogba. Straight road. Traffic light is green. I'm going. Then apparently a car had been blocked off. I didn't know. So me, I was just going, and then there was traffic, so I parked and I was waiting. So a guy moved and I was moving. Then a guy, so I got scared. I'm like,
when I stepped on the accelerator, boom.
Yes.
I said, what's going on?
That is it.
I said, my friend, go back.
Yes.
I said, don't you ever talk to me like that.
Yes.
Tell me what do you want?
Yes.
No, but don't you? I said, why? Do I have 10 eyes to see what is happening in front of me? Calm down. It's not how you talk to people. And me, that's how I talk. That's how I said, that's how you all talk when you're angry. But when you're working, you don't talk like that to people. I was living. And then later he came down. Oh, please. You see, a car has spoiled. I said, yes, you could have spoken to me like this.
But you responded
absolutely
strongly.
No, Master, I mean, that day, I was chasing some money. So already in my mind, I was chasing some money.
Have you seen Ghana police? Have you seen Ghana police go to a household, even to go and talk to the residents?
No.
India, they do.
Yeah.
They enter the house, especially when they have intelligence that this house is likely to be. They will come to the house as community relations officers and talk to you.
Yeah.
Here, they Azugu.
Then they wear some plates,
and then some. What is it?
So this one, you have brought a very important point. You know what is actually also very annoying? When they use the torchlight.
Everything is pop. You know that there used to be this barrier at Cape Coast area, Biriwa.
Biriwa.
I have never seen policemen that disregard any tenets of professionalism. Openly, they would negotiate with them. I'm taking this amount. I'm into transport, so my trucks ply that route. They would negotiate. I said, wow, and they want you to even send them more.
Now they have more.
I said, where are we going to? So,
in other words, they built evidence for you.
Oh yeah, they are everything. If you don't pay it, they are negotiating.
You know the funniest thing? Me, when they stop me here, this flyover at Achimota here. And then when you stop me, I frown.
Yes.
I frown.
You know what I want to say.
So I was watching him like this. Then he would do as usual. Then I rolled down. They said, "Oh, my master, I don't know what I want to frown like that." We are serving. We are on the grounds. I said, "It's good you're on the grounds. Do your job."
The small boys are here.
Oh, but nothing for the boys. Oh, not like you. You're my boy because of ICD.
The police are said to be.
The police that I knew. I'm a Barracks boy.
Yes.
I grew up in the Barracks. The police service that I grew up knowing and loving, the one that my father served, it's not the same police service.
No, it's not.
But because at the time, my father was earning something very small. Those are all when I sent him up.
Yes.
But the passion with which he served this nation
would iron his
It's
dress, go to
abhorrent.
work.
I used to polish his shoes.
Yes.
And then he will come back and say, no, you didn't polish it well. Use cotton.
Yes.
Put it in, dip it in water.
Yes.
And then take your time. Look, if he wanted to punish you, that's why you
use your eyes.
You will polish
But
the
you know why it was that? Go and ask your dad if he's
No, it's
yeah,
gone.
like myself.
Gone.
Yes.
He left this crazy country.
Ask how he was recruited into the police.
Sure.
Rigorous process.
If
This time around, somebody says somewhere.
there's a mark on
he gets
your
a
leg.
call and he's in the police.
Get a mark on your leg, you won't even be you will be assessed.
You understand? And when you come to then, Ambassador touched about these political influence here and there. It's real. Go to both political parties, MPP and DC. We are building tax. Now, if you are not a tax, you don't play a frontline role. I have had issues to do with it. Where lies the intellectualism?
Charlie?
It is fading out of our... Now, when someone doesn't agree with you, the next thing is that he is likely to send tax on you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right now. There.
So we are gradually building terrorists within to take over the country. One day, if we don't stop that, if the two political parties, the leading parties, NDC, MPP, do not go back to what made us NDC, MPP, we will likely chew our own
It's also about your leadership. The kind of people that you vote for now.
Absolutely.
I do recall once upon a time I was having a conversation with Mr. Pratt. He was telling me that back in the day you had professors as
yes.
chairman of MPP, for
Yes.
instance. You had, people who knew it all. You know what I'm saying? Like politics was politics at the time, and it was in intelligence at play. It was not about insult. Now all these small boys.
It's all.
And I told somebody that I can disagree with President Adanko Akufo-Addo. I cannot insult
Why
him.
must you insult him?
Never.
Why must you?
So when I see people like that boy who comes on Justice's show, what's his name? Awal Muhammad of the MPP. Then he says Mahama.
No.
The last time I had the occasion of sending him a message, I said, you, already, most people from the northern region are marginalized. Let's face it.
Yeah.
Let's face it. Votarians, northern, most of us marginalized, right? And then you've had somebody who has become a president representing the northern region, and you are addressing him as a Mahama. I think he's your aide mate. I told him, he said, Kwame, you are right, and I'm sorry.
Yes, right.
But he still does it. When it comes on hot news, he does it. Yeah. Why do you call former president Mahama as if he's your aide mate? What kind of life is that?
Your own northern culture.
Exactly.
Promotes
respect for the elderly.
Respect.
Bawumia. As if he's your aide
Like
mate.
that. I mean, that is why, how can
You know,
you remember former President Rawlings?
It's
One
sad.
man to come out with babies with sharp teeth.
it's terrible.
We are promoting young ones that insult.
It's
You go on
terrible.
radio or TV and don't insult.
Oh, my brother.
You go and meet them.
Oh yeah.
Today they spoke. Oh, what did he speak? It was all about insult. Young man insulting.
Oh.
That doesn't. It doesn't.
Kwame, you haven't forgotten the role of the media in this.
No, it's clear. I mean, it's very true.
Media
and if you
terrorism.
find that,
Yeah,
look,
media terrorism.
Yeah.
and if you find media terrorism significant,
Verbal vandalism.
yeah, and if you find that people like Ambassador Sampiale, Honorable Alex Sebefia, and a few others are coming on Pan-African TV, you won't understand it.
Yeah.
Because I don't encourage that nonsense.
No, it shouldn't. And that's why I like coming here.
And when you insult, I'll tell you that my brother.
You go on a particular review and then your co-partner is insulting and you say that's
what is this?
Is that the reason why you love whatever you're doing to come and sit
The
here?
media terrorism is that people just want to trend. So that they will get viewers on Facebook, and that's all they care about. And I've had the occasion of speaking to one of the top journalists in Ghana in my house, and now I will bear me witness, who actually has a plan, like a media plan. So if this one is not working, then he immediately switches. Then he gets the views. That's all he cares about. So he does everything for the views, taking away the import of what his journalism could do or cannot do for the sustenance of our democracy. We forget all of that. And every time I say that, we are enjoying democracy not because of some special leaders that we've had.
Yeah.
It's because the people themselves have resolved in our hearts that we are not going to fight.
Yes.
That's what it is. Not because somebody is special.
No.
Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about E-Levy.
Anyway,
quick one, and then I'll come to
Yes.
Ambassador Sampiale.
Yes.
I'm starting with
Thank
you on
you.
the E-Levy.
You see, the police brutality can be traceable to regime protection, regime policing instead of state policing. And I think that the new IGP, who has been a recipient of so many praises, should ensure the paradigm shift from regime policing to state policing.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, let me say a special good morning to one of my #1 car dealers in Ghana. Yes, Efo Kofi. Efo Kofi. If you need any car of your choice, any car, you want to pay, as they say, credit.
My installment.
Yeah, by installments. You can call Efo Kofi.
All of us
Efo
is a
Kofi will give
businessman.
you.
So you can go for that.
You
Yeah.
have to go for it.
Now, in fact, me and Solo, we have to talk after the show. Since Solo is into cars, maybe we'll get some I-10 to drive. Yeah. Those of us who don't have cars.
You are driving that big car. It's a good government.
Yeah, Efo Kofi. Call Efo Kofi. Call Efo Kofi. He's not paying me. This one, because he watches the show religiously. Yeah. It's important that I promote Efo Kofi. Call him on 0262 another 62 6166 026 6166. Maybe Dr. Mazu can even swap your car, the old one.
Sure.
And get a new one.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? You
Sure.
deserve it. You
Sure.
deserve it. You
Don't
deserve
worry.
it.
I will. So
Your Excellency.
finish it.
Yeah, we'll finish. We'll give his number. Yes.
Chief.
Your Excellency. E-Levy will deepen economic woes. Importers and Exporters Association
But there's some
want.
small point I want to.
Absolutely. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Who are the owners of 1D1 Kumfi factory? Who are the owners?
Private investment.
Who? I mean, I want private investment of an individual and not government.
No, government gives. That has always been the policy. We give tax rebates and support them in getting lower interest rates.
So what is the return to the country?
A return to the country? They will pay taxes to the country. They will pay taxes. They will
Don't they give them tax exemptions for like 5 years?
Yes, after that they will pay back.
Yeah, but that year.
You see,
So let's tax exemption thing.
Chief.
Scrap out.
Chief,
No, but you see, we need to. You know, we are not enjoying the best of interest rate regimes. So you need to help them to grow before you can tax them.
see, any individual, like yourself, who puts his money in a company, he expects some returns.
Exactly.
Okay?
Sure.
It's not that the return should not be in the form of tax, because everybody must pay tax anyway.
Yeah.
Income tax, direct or indirect, you must pay. So if government invests in a factory, an existing factory, and claims that they have built it under 1D, 1F, then the question I ask is, how much did we invest in it? In 10 years, what are we going to get? Was it a useful investment or not a useful investment? What are the security guarantees we have given so that this company cannot collapse? You know, giving him the tax rebate for 5 years is one, all right?
Yes.
But he goes to the bank, all right? Like any other business people.
Yes, yes.
And the interest rate will affect him.
Yeah, but the interest rate for them is reduced. It's a negotiated
Yes.
interest rate for them.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And what do we have as Ghanaians?
No, the workers that are being
How many workers are there?
no, for another subject, it's a project that has just started.
No, I want to, I mean, you are
So
government
far, we have employed more than 150,000 people.
chief.
100, and these are matters that are before Parliament.
Chief, as for you, I have developed some respect for you this
No,
morning.
but that
wait,
is
wait,
the
wait.
record.
No, wait. I have our records. We have so many records.
Oh, really?
That are not accurate.
Records.
accuracy of the
The
record
COVID records suspicious. The Rose records suspicious. Many records are suspicious.
This one
Okay,
should give you
but
the breakdown.
so if I go to a Kumfi, I'm going to get how many workers?
No, I can give you the details. I don't have.
Yes,
problem.
okay.
Yeah, I
But
can
next
give you.
time bring it because
No
I
worry
need
at
it.
all. If you give me just 2 minutes, I can give you all the.
Kwame,
Yes, sir. Let's look at the
the
E-Levy.
president was very, very, very straight to the point when he went to Parliament on the State of the Nation address. We are not discussing that, but I got something very salient by his admission that this country is difficult.
Yes.
The economy is in danger. In reading 7 points to state that this country is not in good shape. The economy is not in good shape. Because if our interest rate, like you are saying, is now what?
24.
24%. Our CD is how many CDs to a dollar? How much do you spend? CD
About 7 point.
CD to $1. Then our national indebtedness, national debt is how much?
341 billion.
Billion.
Plus what you left.
Plus what we left 120 billion, but
Plus
we have
interest.
Wait. Huh? No, this kind of mathematical equalization is not what I'm doing. Because if you tell me what we left, Kwame, then I'm tempted to go into what we did with our money.
Absolutely.
You see, I'm tempted to go into it, but this is not the kind of argument I want to be involved in. The truth of the matter is that as a Ghanaian, I am faced with a national indebtedness of about 340 billion.
That's right.
Okay? Now, this E-Levy, that according to my friend Kosi Pratt, is like Ecobam. Ecobam, you know Ecobam? With 3 years, yeah, Ecobam. 1 year, yeah. That's what my friend Kosi Pratt described it. Now, the E-Levy appears to be the panacea you had forgotten for a long time. As a country, I'm not talking about the MPP, but as a country, this is what we believe to have forgotten for a long time. So we saw it, and we all have to rush, kill ourselves. You know, Supreme Court have to dismiss some MPs. Address Afu has to be impersonated, all because of E-Levy. So what is the E-Levy? Electronic levy. And yesterday the president was asked, and so there's an industry that is yielding about what? Trillions of dollars, and we are not into that. If MTN, by its cumulative operations, and others are bringing up 17 trillion, what has that got to do with some PLA who transfers $20, 20 CDs to my mother, 200 CDs to my mother? What has that got to do with me? It is out of my transactions, your transaction, his transaction, right? That gives them that profit. So, who should be taxed? Me, who is just transferring 200, so that Mobitel, MTN can accumulate the 3 trillion. Who should be taxed? Should I be taxed? In any case, Dr. Marizouk, this E-Levy is supposed to give us about 6 billion cedis. Okay? Now, our debt to GDP is about 89%.
Yeah.
Okay. What percentage would this 6 billion
It's about 78%.
78?
Yes.
Okay, let me take your word. So you are an honorable member, so I'll take your word.
No, it's 78.
78. Okay. 78. It means that for every 1 cedi that we generate in this country, 78% have to go into salaries, and also salaries, wages, and interest payment, and what?
Yes.
Okay. So have you asked yourself, what caused the 340 billion? Have you asked yourself, what caused it? If a third world country, you say the NDC government was not good, and therefore you're going to repair the economy, not so, that's what they told us. Chief, you come. Would you appoint 125 ministers?
Not at all.
Would you appoint 125 ministers?
No.
Then you say, we are not going to import new cars, because I am aware that in the handing over notes, we left about 303 vehicles, 4-wheel drive vehicles, to the government. Alhaji Marizouk, if the government kept his word, would you have imported new 4-wheel drives?
No.
That's part of it. The ministers that were 125, they are gone. Are we going to stop paying them their ex gratia? Did we stop? Did we stop? A country of 30 million people, isn't it? We have 13 chief Supreme Court judges. A country of 13. America has what? Kwame, you are into how many Supreme Court judges do we have?
9.
9. The whole of America of about how many states? 9. And you have 13 Supreme Court justices. When they go on retirement, every month you must pay them the same salary.
Yeah.
So how wouldn't your salaries and wages go up? Kwame, there are some people who drive 4-wheel drives every morning, and are in the evening, unknowingly, they are going to office of the president, Flagstaff House, people, you paying them their salaries and fuels, have to park for them to pass. No, so when they go to Flagstaff House, what do they go to do? Dr. Manazu, yes. These are the practical problems we have.
Sure.
About 1,000 plus people. The Flagstaff House is a whole community of people. What are they doing? Some are social media, whatever it is, directors. The last time they brought the list of employees of the Flagstaff House, you'll be annoyed. You must be annoyed. So when they say workers' wages and whatever it is not what the TUC workers derive, because their salary is fixed at 4%. Doctor, somebody you, Dr. Marzouk, have taught at the university takes over 13,000 cedis a month to be a government appointee. 13,000. You you, what do you get? No, Kwame, why are you laughing at me? Why are you laughing at me? So as long as we seek political appointment as a way of employment, this is what is going to happen. Yesterday, my friend Paul Babin was lamenting. The man is an MP. No, so your people have voted for you to come and serve them. You haven't sent 1 kilometer of road there. You are a board member. All right? Several appointments. So when you see them in when parliament is in session, do you see the number of people there? Apart from E-Levy, do you see the number of people there? For how long can we run an economy like this? For 9 months, our prisons, those people who work with the prisoners, they also act like prisoners. Because when the prisoners are going, they also work. You know, so they don't even have a car. For 9 months, we have not paid them. We have not paid them their housing allowance.
No salary, housing allowance.
Salary and housing allowance. Oh. They have not been paid 9 months. Salary, yes. Housing allowance, 9 months. How do you want them to stay? You see, this is a country with a youthful population. You mentioned that. And in India, the youthful population is a dividend, positive dividend. Because they mobilize them properly. Why haven't we, like when Muhammad started, I don't want this equalization, but the idea of the digital village at Circle was that we're going to train these young men and export them.
It's happening.
I hope it is happening, and not only to MPP
exports. No.
You know, I am worried, Kwame, that the economy we are building and we have built, it's not about the fundamentals are weak and your exchange rate will expose you, because we have been exposed as a country. We have been exposed. Seriously, we have been exposed. Not so. We have been exposed. Now, we spoke about interest rate trying to come down. Interest rate is going up. Inflation is coming down. It's also going up. Now, we say that what? It is COVID. Now, we say it is Ukraine. Chief, you are an honest politician. The monies that we accrued during COVID, could we have made the same monies if we were on our own?
Maybe more. Maybe more.
Kwame, so me,
okay.
I am saying that...
And then you end here because your time is actually
limited. Yes, I am saying that the president needs to understand that he's been voted to work. And he's there to work for the youth. He's there to work for every Ghanaian. And every decision he takes should be of benefit to the youth. I am happy that at long last, Kwame, our Commander Sugar factory is going to be opened.
Yep.
But if for the 5 years or so that factory has been there, how many workers would not have been employed? I'm happy. And that is why I don't want to talk.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Let me, as I read some messages, I think that Ambassador Sabiale can take a bow and attend to some other very important issues. But we are grateful for your time here on the show. All right. Danny Best says, I expected Solomon Owusu to stop the policies and tell us that the 1D, 1F has failed, and not to say that we should support it, as if we were opposed to it from the very beginning. Mensa Pillar 2, E-Levy will come and fix Ghana for us. Regards to Professor Christopher Amiawe Kumfi. Hey, where is he?
It's campaign.
For what?
National.
I like that man.
Oh, he's good.
I really, really, really. He's campaigning.
Yes.
Somebody should tell him that I am supporting him. No, somebody should tell him.
You don't have a vote.
No, but I have a voice that can get him votes.
Yes,
Yeah. I have a voice that can get him votes. Oh, we totally forget people like Professor Christopher Amiawe Kumfi leading the MPP. Some swag will be back. You know, we need people like that. Wow. Oh, I like him.
Oh, really?
I like that man. I like him and Alan.
Oh.
Yeah, I like Alan too. As about me, he's a complete liar. So.
Oh.
I don't.
You preach against his also.
No, I'm not insulting him.
Liar.
Yeah, I'm not insulting him.
Complete liar.
I can.
No.
I can adduce evidence to back what I'm saying. I'm not just.
Yeah.
Or people say somebody's a liar. You have said something, okay, and then when the facts were checked, it's directly at variance.
In spite of your evidence, my elder brother is not a liar.
So he's not a liar because you're older brother. Yes. If he wasn't there, Dog GSK. Good morning, Pan-African TV. The whole issue starts from the top to down. Look at what is happening at the presidency. So it's not the police alone. Chris Atta says, good morning to you, Kwame. Can I have Solo's contact? Solo, would you like to give your number out?
And maybe you give it
personally. All right.
Okay.
Frank Jones says, talking about insult, respect for the elderly. Say that to Kennedy Japan and Owusu. Ebenezer Ankuyi says, it is true that some of the policemen behave unprofessionally, but there are two politicians on the platform. They should tell Ghanaians any good policy their respective governments bring to improve the service. None. They are the woes of the country. They should give us a break. I'm sure this person is a policeman. Salifu Hamza Zoology says, good morning to you, Mr. KOD. By the way, the country is running. The way the country is running, we the young ones are beginning to trust in this government. The government is frustrating us. No hope, nothing to show, so that our parents can have hope in us. We feed from hand to mouth every day. That's why all these robberies are happening. Even when you manage to get a job, you can't save for the future because prices keep going up on a daily basis. Even 3 rooms you can't build for your parents to stay in. Please, where are we heading to? Anyway, Dr. Mazuk, you are my role model. Zoology from Tamale.
I'm Annette.
Franjo says, and the so-called senior journalists, thieves in religious gown, opinion leaders and civil society organizations should know that they are destroying the economy and building a difficult future. And Bashir says, I totally agree with you, honestly. I think people are loving the topics that we've selected for our conversation. Yeah. So let's look at the E-Levy deepening our economic woes, and then the fact that Importers and Exporters Association are warning. And also, maybe we can marry the two issues because it has to do with Ghana's economy. Now, if the video is ready, the interview which was granted President Danko Akufo-Addo, we can listen to just snippets of that. And the video is kind courtesy the BBC. So we won't have any copyright issues because we are acknowledging that that video is from BBC. So if we can play that video quickly, if it is ready, so that we can marry these two topics, and then we can do it, because I want us to really talk about the tidal waves. So let's just play the video right now if it is ready.
If I look at the Ghanaian economy at the moment, it's doing, I mean, let's just be honest, it's doing terribly.
Not terribly.
Well,
it's
when you your inflation in your country, inflation in Ghana?
I don't know the economy in the world that's doing well. Tell me where you are here.
Inflation in Ghana.
The highest inflation.
Well, 15.7%. The Ghanaian cedi has fallen 20% on the dollar. The worst after Russia, which has a lot of sanctions against it.
It's began to firm up. It has begun to firm up. We're seeing the cedi systematically appreciating against the dollar.
People still can't employ you now. I was just reading today, you know, people in the hospitality industry that you're pushing so hard, you know, having to lay their staff off. We've got taxi driver unions threatening strikes because of spiraling fuel costs. I mean, it doesn't look like a place that I want to go and put my money.
Where will you put your money in the world today? Where will you put your money? In Britain? Which is suffering the worst standard of living statistics for over 30 years? Is it? All right, let's situate ourselves correctly. The world is going through very difficult times. Ghana is no exception. Nigeria is no exception. There's no country in the world that is escaping the ravages of both COVID-19 and also the impact of the. But what you need to look at are where are the elements being put on the ground that look beyond the COVID and beyond the Russian-Ukraine war. And I think you'll find that in Ghana, the recovery program that we have is one that is considered very credible, and it is what is going to give us the opportunity to come out of this period a stronger economy. And it is that future that we're looking at when we're attracting people.
Let's talk about one of the structures that you say you've put in place. The E-Levy, a lot of people are calling it a stealth tax on people who already are impoverished. It's a 1.5% tax on people who do business on their mobile phones. So if they use their mobile phones to send money or to...
The digital economy, the mobile economy.
Yes, but you're taxing people on money that has already been taxed.
Is the biggest economy in the... is emerging as the biggest economy in the country. And for a long period has not had any taxation at all. So it is important now that they also come into the net. Our country has one of the lowest tax to GDP ratios of any country in West Africa and of an equivalent economy. The ECOWAS area, the general average today, tax to GDP average is about 18%. Ghana, we're at 13%. So it's as if you're talking about a country which is already overtaxed, if anything at all, is undertaxed.
Okay, let me take you up on that point. You know, on your low tax ratio to GDP. I'm just going to quote, read this quote to you. It's from John Kwame, who I'm sure you might know is the director of research at the Accra-based Institute for Economic Affairs. He says there are several loopholes in our tax system that if they are plugged, we'll be able to raise our tax to GDP ratio to something like 20% from the 12% that you're talking about. Are you speaking to experts like him?
Well, first of all, there's a recognition that
he says that there's no need for the E-Levy.
Well, that's his point of view.
He's an expert.
But he's an expert. There are experts in government as well, and we think it's necessary, and that's the reason why we...
You think it's necessary to tax people who are already impoverished?
They're not already impoverished. We're talking about people. We're talking about taxing an industry and transactions where a lot of value is being created, and we want to also bring that value into government coffers. I think that is something that is very, there's nothing so, and the E-Levy is not Ghana, it's the only country that has something like a mobile, a digital tax. Many countries, they will not like it.
Because they're already taxing people who do business online, and then you are taxing as well.
People never like taxes. I don't know any group of people, especially businesses, when taxes are brought to them that like it.
When you hear all these stories, Mr. President, I mean, Ghana was one of the rising stars of, you know, the economic recovery of Africa, so to speak. You know, but when you hear about all these issues with the economy now, what exactly went wrong?
Nothing has gone wrong. We're part of those who have been very badly affected by what has gone on in the last 2 years. Until 2020, since I came into office, 2017, 2018, 2019, the beginning of 2020, we were growing our economy at about 7%, the GDP growth rate. One of the fastest growing economies in the world was the Ghanaian economy, even in the crunch year of 2020. When the economies of the world dived, Ghana, we still managed a positive rate of growth because the fundamentals of our economy are strong. But it has been a difficult task for all the economies of the world. I think it is important that when you're making the kind of provocative statements that you're making, that you situate yourself. You speak as if you're living in the same time as you and I, where the world economy as a whole has gone through very difficult times. And there are several things that we're doing, which is in the line of being able to pick up our economy again. I have no doubt that next year, if you were to come and speak to me like you're doing today, we will have a different set of facts for us to look at.
I can see the BBC. Thank you for that. Now, let me come to you.
Kwame, you see, we have not shied away from telling the people of Ghana the truth. We are having difficulties in the economy. The president has said it severally. But you cannot detach that one from the COVID and Ukraine. And I'll explain why. Okay. You see, when COVID struck, the president made a statement that Ghanaians took for granted. He said we knew how to bring the economy back, but how to save life, we didn't know it. During COVID, we failed as a country to collect about 11 billion tax revenue, but we expended 14 billion in excess. So if you add, it's 25 billion deficit, which contributed about 7.1 of our GDP. Now, people have been talking about the monies or the inflows that came. If you total, it's about 3 billion. If you even use the exchange rate then at 6%, you are talking about 18 billion cedis. Take that one from the 25 billion, you have a deficit of 7 billion, compounding our debt profile. So when we attribute our current woes partly to COVID, then it's justified. But for COVID, we wouldn't have been buying these PPEs, sanitizers, face mask, towel, and so on. We wouldn't have fed 11 million students who were going back to school. We wouldn't have given 533 million cedis to businesses through the coronavirus alleviation poverty program. And so it is real. Now, but for Ukraine invasion, oil prices would not have skyrocketed as it is. You have a car, you buy fuel, and you know the past 3 weeks.
I'm waiting for you to give me an
So that is the reality. Now, we don't have a breathing space. If you look at our debt to GDP, it's almost around 78%. And so the monies that we collect as a country, we use 78% to service our debt and also pay emolument. You are left with practically 10% to do the roads, hospitals, schools, etc., etc. We all have been complaining that we are borrowing excessively. So what do? You have to tax your people. This is a novel way of trying to get money from the people. That is simplicity. It is not any special thing to do with government's innovative ideas, but it's just that we are in a difficult situation. We need money to solve a pressing problem in 2022, hence the E-Levy. 2022 budget is for 2022. As we are going forward, if things improve, this E-Levy can be scrapped. Except that Ghanaians are not confident because normally in our country, when taxes come in, we never withdraw them. And a case in point has to do with the communication tax when it was introduced in 2008 that we made a lot of noise about. Then it was never withdrawn. And that is why people always question the sincerity even of the opposition. Now, it's unfortunate Ambassador is here, but he made mention of how why have we gotten to this far, and that we are engaging about 13 Supreme Court judges, we are employing more at the Flagstaff House, and so on and so forth. Remember, the idea of appointing more judges is captured in the constitution of this country. You ask yourself, who are those that framed this constitution? Remember the Consultative Assembly? Even the New Patriotic Party was all part of it. It was their own party that metaphors into the Constitutive Assembly that gave us that constitution. That did not limit the president as to the number of Supreme Court appointments that you can make. So if today a president who is supposed to rule by the constitution is doing things that are not run parallel to the constitution, how then do you turn yourself and complain? If the constitution does not bar the president from engaging more people at the Flagstaff House, how do you then complain? It is for us as a country, and I understand the constitutional review that they did will very soon be implemented, that we checkmate the president. If we don't want the president to engage more Supreme Court judges, we must put a ceiling. And this one, we as a country can take the decision. If we don't, we want to give him a ceiling at the number of people he can employ at the Flagstaff House. Let us say it. If we don't want the president to be traveling by charter flights, let us put it black and white, so that tomorrow the president will not come and take advantage of the constitution, and then we the same people will turn around and complain. Kwame, the truth of the matter is that it is not only Ghana's economy that is suffering. Now we have imported inflation. Now, if you import, you see cars are very expensive now. Vehicles that were ordered in 2019, especially trucks, now has increased by 28%. So you have to go and top up, else they are not giving you the trucks. Madness. Why? Because now they are saying they have shut down their production units in Russia. They are not, labor is very high, and so on and so forth. So if you are in Ghana and you are buying trucks and the tax increase, would it not affect the local economy? Yeah. If I'm a hauler and I go and bring such an expensive truck coupled with high interest rate at the bank, would I not pass it on to the company? And would the company not also pass on to the final consumer? So definitely it will affect the country. It is a temporary situation that we are in. Let us all as a country bite the bullet. And in so doing, let me also advise government officials that sometimes our attitude, it pisses people off. That we are all facing difficulty. And when they see you in traffic with a Land Cruiser, it annoys them. Let us reduce that as much as possible. I don't see why you want to go to a place 6 o'clock. You cannot get up by 5 and go peacefully, so that you will not incur the wrath of the very people that you are exercising their mandate. When we do that, then people will know that indeed we are all sharing the burden, not to behave as though we are living in utopia. Other than that, the president and the government has been frank. Our economy, look, if you take, but let me also say that all indices under this government are better than the previous administration. If you take our inflation, it is better than the NDC. If you take our GDP, it is better than the NDC. If you take our GDP, we are now doing about $82 billion. So even if you ask, what have we done with the borrowings? It translates into the volume of GDP now that we have. Because we took over a GDP that was 54 billion. Now if you are doing 82 billion, is it not an addition of almost $30 billion that you added to the economy? And that comes with a cost. So let us all tighten our belt and then know that this is the country we have. If we go hard on ourselves, we cannot do anything.
Brilliant. Thank you. Dr. Marzouk.
All right. Thank you so much. And, as a researcher, I cannot oppose statistics. But of course, I will demand for the accuracy of statistics. Ghanaians are not interested in the statistical mastery of NDC and MPP. Ghanaians are interested in the reality of the statistics in their pockets, the reality of the statistics in their stomachs, the reality of their statistics in their heads, the reality of the statistics in their accommodation, in their health, in their feeding, in their education. That's what Ghanaians should be interested in, right? And again, Honorable Solomon has made a very fantastic statement. Yes, it is true. Ukraine war and whatever, COVID. But then the other side of the argument is that as a country, we should have been proactive to handle such incidents. We should have been very proactive. Again, we should have contingency measures.
That's what I was going to say.
Yes, unless, of course, we don't have any contingency measure. We should have. Today in U.S.,
food supply.
Yes. In U.S., President Joe Biden is releasing oil reserves as part of the measures to mitigate the hardships emanating from the Ukraine war. You understand that? So it's very difficult for us to understand. And then sometimes when we are made to understand that political opportunity is a source of economic prosperity, we will definitely oppose the imposition of E-Levy. I'm telling you, my brother, why in the first place will you do away with a tax that targets the rich? And I'm referring to the toll booth, because it is the rich who owns the cars. It is the rich who use the roads. Even if you claim that the trotro driver may not be rich, then you should also understand that the owner of the trotro will be a rich person. So you do away with that one, and then you bring a tax regime that will target the poor. That is my problem. And I think the passing of E-Levy seems to be a reflection of the might of a right. Might because the regime has been able to get all the necessary tools to ensure its passing. The only thing that makes me happy about the E-Levy is that I have been vindicated. Remember, when we sat here and I said, look, I am opposed to the E-Levy, but at the end of the day, it will be passed. It will be passed because we seem to have a legislature. We seem to have a legislature, and I'm sorry. I do not want to be cited for contempt of parliament. I'm very sorry, but that is the bitter reality. We seem to have a legislature in which things are done and analyzed in the eyes of so many people as transactional.
Explain your transaction. Explain your transaction.
Yeah, understand. Transactional. And once you have the theory of transactional justice, definitely you cannot get an organ of government performing in line with the aspiration of the people. I made it clear. And sometimes when they stage the gymnastics, they think all of us are stupid. We are not. We are not. Right? We have been told that we have a hung parliament. Adjo Safo was not there. The members, whatever. But we saw the minority walking out. Whatever happens in parliament should be a sole responsibility of the majority and the minority. You cannot single out one division of the parliament, one side of the parliament for castigation. So today, if E-Levy is bad for the country, the minority and the majority should be held responsible. If E-Levy is good for the country, the minority and the majority should take the credit. I strongly believe that, well, the will of the people has been neglected. Has been neglected because there have been surveys, and that's what I'm saying, that I respect statistics. There have been surveys, and the results of all these surveys are that majority of Ghanaians do not like the E-Levy. But as I said, might override. Now, I am appealing to the government to ensure that the E-Levy should not be an opportunity of profligacy. Whatever funds we generate from the E-Levy should be used in the interest of the state. And if the government can do that, then it can convince people that the theory is one thing and the practice is another. The theory could be a political ideology, but the practice will be a national benefit. And that is when we will put partisanship below patriotism. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And I think we got to go. Yeah. So, no, thank you.
Thank you.
And Dr. Marzouk, thank you. As always, thank you very kindly for your time this morning. Let me say a special thank you to those who found time to watch the newspaper review segment this morning on Pan-African Television. It's always a delight. It's always a pleasure serving you. Nothing but the best here. If you meet me in town, you can say hello to me, and I'll definitely say hello to you as well. And let me remind all of us that at this stage, it is important that the very little money that we have, we put it into good use. So if you're a young man, if you have some cash, make sure you invest it. You can buy lands, because lands always appreciate. But buy lands which doesn't have any form of litigation. Service plots, that's what you need now. So I'm recommending Trasaco Springs to you. It may sound expensive, but trust me, the amount of money that you spend in a week, if you put them all together, if you put all the amount of money that you spend in a week together, you should be able to buy a piece of land somewhere. And you can fence it nicely, wait, when the land appreciates, then you sell it. You see, then you can make more money. That's smart business. After this show, I'm sure the advert will be played, and then you can get their number, call Trasaco Springs, and make sure you deal with them nicely. It's very, very, very important. I want to encourage all of us to purchase a plot of land. It's very, very, very crucial. And so make sure you do that. Also, let me tell you that my friend sells cars. So if you need a car, if you want to pay by installment, whatever arrangements you can have with him, make sure you call him. His name is Efo Kofi. Efo Kofi is at Jowulu here, just here. Jowulu. 0262 626 166. 0262 another 62 6166. Call Efo Kofi for all your car deals. I'm sure he will be more than excited to deal with you and give you a nice car. Charlie, unis car they talk it to me. Neja, I call the ambassador. Charlie, over the day. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a nice day. Bye bye.
Trasaco Estates, home to Accra's most beautiful